Well, how are y'all doing today? I am Devon O'Day and Bill Cinque. I wasn't sure what day he was getting back. He was touring Ireland, and so I just wanted to make sure. And I said I'm going to go ahead and hit the show. And if he gets this message, he'll join us. And if he doesn't get this message, we're going to talk about needing a bigger bucket. Have you guys? I was sitting at an event, and I was talking to Tracy Lawrence, and we were both talking about all the things that we had done in our lives and how grateful we were to be able to do all those things. And I said to him, I said, I've done all the things in my first bucket, my bucket list. I need a new bucket. I'm going to need a bigger bucket. I got more things I want to do. And he said, we should write that. We should write that. And sometimes, have you ever been in that place where you just think, I need to create a bigger space and I need to write down a few more things because I've got more life left? So many of the things that when we put a plan in action, like in a previous show, Bill said, use the dream spreadsheet, actually put them on paper and write them down. Say, I want to accomplish this. I want to accomplish this. Once we write them down, our physical body and our physical mind will start making those things happen. Without us even trying, it starts working toward those goals. It's why writing down a goal works. Now, what about you? What's your special way of making sure you get things done? For me, just the physical thing of I go literally and get composition books just like that from the Dollar Tree, $1.25 tree now. And I start writing down the things that I want to accomplish. And underneath each one, how I mean to do that. So I put like, how many hours of practice, or if I need to buy something, or if I need to learn something, maybe I need to go and study it. Maybe I need to take a class. Maybe I need some resources. But we start putting in the practical application to make those things happen. And I want you to go back and look at that list. And maybe when you were younger, you had things that you wanted to accomplish. I want you to sit down and take the time to write those things down that you've accomplished that you always wanted to do. When I was little, when I grew up, I wanted to be blah. I wanted to achieve blah. I wanted to be married with 2.5 kids. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. I wanted to own a farm. I wanted to raise chickens. It doesn't have to be some big bombastic thing. I want to be president. It can be small things too. I want to live in Nashville. That was one of mine. You know, I want to go live in New York. That was one of mine. So when we start adding up the things that we want to do and the things we want to accomplish, and then we start doing the work to make those happen, we start finding ourselves achieving and achieving a lot more. If you guys have a comment about that, maybe you've tried something like this and it worked. I want to encourage you to give me a comment, and I can share those with everybody. What do you do when you want to make sure that something happens? A lot of times we have those, I call it my ADD moments, and I don't know whether it's ADD or whether I just have trouble focusing. One of the things I did on my recent trip was uh, I listened to an audiobook about focusing, you know, how to increase your focus. And there were so many great resources in that. It was about an hour and a half book. It really wasn't a long book at all. And it had so many great things in it. So one of the things in your bigger bucket list should include audiobooks, YouTube videos, classes that you need to increase your dreams, to increase your accomplishments, to increase what you want to do. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a bombastic, huge dream. It could be, I've always wanted to learn to make my own pasta. So I'm going to enroll in a cooking class. I've always wanted to learn how to do woodworking. I love to use my friend Clarine as an example. And Clarine in Mount Juliet had Clarine's Treasures for years and years and years. That was her retirement job. Her husband Nelson handed her the keys when she retired from her first job and said, "You've always wanted to do this. Here's your building." And from having booths where other people rented space to having the whole place where she acquired the items to put in there, then to making her own handcrafted barn tables and kitchen tables. I mean, she amazed me. And when I was helping her close it down, um, she was, I think, seven. It's hard to tell how old Clarine is because your dreams keep you young, and she looks fantastic, and she just is forever young. And but I know that she was in her 70s because it was her second retirement. And I thought, wow, dreams really do. That's your fountain of youth. That's your fountain of youth. So is there something that you've ever wanted to do that you didn't know how to do? Go and find not only the classes, not only the resources to study and kind of get you better equipped, but find some good mentors. And mentors are really important. Mentors come from that place inside you that you identify with them, but don't just limit it to older people who've done it many, many times. I want you to be able to be an older person and listen to a young person's advice. Now, I know we think that you can't you can't learn anything from someone who hasn't experienced as much as you, but that's not true. They have learned and experienced a life in technology that we couldn't even imagine. Now, they may not know how to use a landline phone, but they know another world of technology. So ask them, okay, how do I do this? And don't just count yourself out. I always say that the biggest detriment to a dream is when we make ourselves dinosaurs. Okay. I know I hate that term. I hate that term, but we do it to ourselves. I don't know how many people in radio through the years have used the term, well, I don't want to do it that way. That's not the good old way. I just don't want to do it if it's not my way. If it's not the old way, it's not the good way. Okay. Well, that's possible. But if I had that thought, this show that we're doing right now would never, ever have been possible. Um, hello, Elizabeth. Good morning, dreams. Good morning, Elizabeth. Um, I love being able to share some of the things that have helped me, and I wish Bill were here, um, but he not back yet. Um, uh, I love this. I love the things I can learn from young niece and nephews. Yes, yes. It's crazy how much I've learned. I always call them my work daughters. Um, Social media Sam was my first work daughter, and she did social media and kind of taught me some of the things that I know. And then I started taking classes on my own to kind of learn a little bit more about how to do this, how to build a website, how to learn how to do that. I didn't know how to edit audio podcast. I didn't know how to edit video, but I taught myself using the University of YouTube, and it really works. And it does help if you go and learn something. One of my favorite things, I always wanted to work at a pottery wheel. I always want to work at a pottery wheel. So I signed up for classes out at Mud Puddle Pottery in Pegram. And I can't go right now. It's so far from me, so I don't get to go very often, but anymore. But I took that class and I went every week for I think 8 weeks, and it was just wonderful. So there might be something that enriches your spirit that has nothing to do with money, nothing to do with increasing your social status. It might be just something that's on your bucket list. I want to learn how to do this. Now Elizabeth is a great decorator. She is, I mean, watching her, went to her house and she just decided, I'm going to redo my whole bathroom. And she did. And it looks like it came right out of a magazine. And I thought, wow, we can learn those things too. What I used to do, Elizabeth, and for anybody watching, I used to go and get those decorating magazines, and I would see a picture that I could superimpose over a room. I'd go, I've got this little room and it looks kind of like this little room. And I think, well, here it is. They say little room, you don't use bright colors. Well, I used this beautiful bright color that I saw in this picture. So I taped that picture to the door of the bedroom. I found that color paint. I got that white bedspread. So I had coral walls, and I know it was a little tiny room, but the coral just worked, and everything else was white. The windows were white, the window shades were white, the window curtains were white, the bedspread was white, and the furniture was white. It looked so pretty, and it just made me feel so good to walk in that room, and it looked just like the room that was in the picture. I just enjoyed it. When was the last time you pursued a dream for the simple act of finding joy? Didn't have anything to do with money or status or what other people thought. It was just something you wanted to do. It wasn't something you wanted to do for a living later on. It wasn't a change of plan. It was just something you wanted to learn. I wanted to learn how to snorkel. Now, a lot of people go learn how to dive, but I had a fear of what was in the water. So, to face my fear, I went to a coral reef with a group of people and I learned how to snorkel. I'm still here and I haven't been able to go back and do it, but that one experience went into my bucket and I did that. I mean, there's some things I'll never put on my bucket list. Some things I'm never going to put on my bucket list. Now, what about you? I'm never going to jump out willingly out of a perfectly good airplane. Now, my friend Jim Graham, that's his juice. He loves that. So, Jim, if you're watching, I am so glad that you love doing that. You know, my friend John, he loves to dive and he loves to go down and dive with sharks and all sorts of things and take pictures. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to go deep in the water. I don't want to do that. But, you know, knowing what you like to do and what you enjoy is great. I mean, I've always wanted to ride horses across Ireland. And before I go, I want to try to do that before I leave. Elizabeth's my bucket list mostly includes seeing new places in this world with friends. Amen. Amen. And Elizabeth and I are planning a little trip coming up with some people. So we've got some plans for some trips, and you guys might want to be a part of what we do. So I'll keep you posted. Well, I'm going to make this a short one today, just to say I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you watch. I'm glad that you share. I'm glad that you're part of our get together today. On my bucket list, I'm going to get to go and interview a recording artist that I have admired my whole life. And so I wore my suit. I kind of dressed up a little bit, and I said I'm going to go and have a sit down with her. And I'm not going to tell you who, because that's going to be a little surprise in future weeks. But it's somebody who really knows how to expand the bucket list. So maybe I'll share a little bit about that on a future show. We are here every Monday at noon. Bill is normally with me, BillCinque.com, CINQUE.com. I was just talking to someone. Thank you. I appreciate you, Elizabeth. Thank you for the compliment. I just think that when we start living our life, if we discount the things because, well, there's no future in it, well, it doesn't pay, or, well, it doesn't do this, or, well, we just shortchange ourselves in some really amazing things. So, someone was talking to me about a recording artist that was having a difficult time after being off the road for so long, getting back on stage. And I said, you need to talk to my friend Bill. And if you've had some issues with something you are afraid to do, Bill is a licensed hypnotherapist, and he does private virtual consultations and things like the easy things are like, he said the easy things are quitting smoking or getting over a small fear like fear of dogs or something like that. But then he's got this niche of people who, since he's traveled the world with people like Neil Diamond and a lot of the British invasion bands, and he's been on stage the majority of his life, he has been on a stage, and major stages like Madison Square Garden. That stage fright, when it affects people, can make them just not want to do their dream. So, one of the things that he majors in is helping people get back on stage again. If they have trouble with their voice or they have trouble with other things, he works with them with conversational hypnosis and gets them ready to go on. And people are walking back on stage again, whether it be Broadway in New York or Broadway in Nashville or all points in between. You guys have a great rest of your day. If you want to reach out to me, devonoday@gmail, or you can go to billcinque.com to set up a consultation. You guys have a great, great day and go after those dreams because dreams are awesome. Bye, you guys.